Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness by Barrett Kunyan.
Well, it's beautiful brother, Lee Mudway. It's really honored to be in your beautiful company as ever. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while, brother, since we last connected, but it's great to be back. How are things on your end?
How are things? Thank you, brother. I mean, I can't remember the last time we spoke. I know we've spoken a few times in between, many times, but I can't remember the last time we had one of these. So,
a month at least, I would imagine.
Excellent. To answer your question, excellent. We're currently in Cambodia, Angkor Wat, Siem Reap, which is the town where Angkor Wat is, my friend, and it's probably of the places I've certainly been to. This is one of the most peaceful, relaxed, loving, open, comfortable places. It's an ark. I see it as an ark. So where we are is an ark, and we're blessed to be here. So, and of course, blessed to be on here with you, brother.
Yes, thank you. I mean, just to give a little bit background, because we have always new individuals coming to connect with our beautiful energies. I met with yourself at least, I'd say, within the period of like 2 years. So I've known on and off for many years, but it wasn't till because you guys are the founding fathers, shall we say, of the GPMS, which stands for Global People's Monetary System, and Divine Plan, which we call it Simplified Divine Plan. But so for me, coming to your energy particularly, and Rick's, it was a game changer. It was very, very uplifting and extremely stimulating, and it has raised my game big time because of some of these mental questions that we're, as humans, we are faced with. Should we just dive in? Because there's a particular question that I've been meaning to ask you for a while, and it's been popping up on and off some of the shows that I've been doing in the last couple of months. There's an individual, I don't know if you heard of him, but his name is Santos Bonacci, sending him lots of love. We do share some videos. My son and I, we put some video footage of bits and pieces like mission statements, the gift and giving, the hamster wheel mentality videos that we've done. With reference to Santos, when he saw a globe appear in front of him, it kind of triggered him in a profound way. He almost attacked in the most loving way, and he said, "Brother, the earth is not round." Now, here's my question. Is it important to question if the earth is round or flat?
Is that the question? Hang on, it's just seeing the videos.
There's a lot of debate going on, reference to this, and we've come back going on. Yep, back again. So that's my question to you, brother. Reference to is the earth round or is it flat? Is it important for us to know?
No, and yes, if you make it important. See, importance is the question important? Every question is important. Some will say it's not, they're not. Some will say they are, but they are. What's different is the answer isn't important. The question is, but the answer isn't. People seem to want questions answered. That's unnecessary. In the belief systems of what people see, I mean, I can openly say I've never experienced a round earth. I've only ever experienced a flat earth. From everything I've experienced, from what I can see, I've never seen a sphere. I've seen water flat, and I've seen buildings, and I've flown in planes, and they seem, it looks like it's flat. It looks like you're going across a flat plane. But I don't believe it's flat. that's just what I experience. Having looked into quite a few things, I've got different belief systems, but I went through the same questions. Is it flat? And I went down that route, and I could argue it's flat as much as I could argue it's round. But that's an argument. What does it matter? It creates division. It creates separation. I see globe cards being pushed round and flurfers as labels and detachments, separation, division over an idea. I see lots of stuff about NASA, and yeah, it's great to ask questions about things, but then why fixate upon something and say I'm right, you're wrong? And I see this a lot. It's a human trait where we wish to label others wrong where we think we're right, but that's pride. Nobody that I know of can prove either way, so why do we need to think or believe? But what I will say is when you look at the creation of the atom, or molecular creation, the toroidal spin, the toroidal field creation, when you look at the base building blocks of creation, that it uses the spherical spin of light, which is the basis of all life or all molecular design, it's round. Spherical frequencies are round. Now we can fixate upon flat, round, whatever else, or we can get together and unite and say we don't really care. That doesn't really make much difference. But what does matter is the way we live and our experience and our environment and our unity. And this division and separation is just pointless over something that is meaningless. And what's it do at the end of the day if it's flat or round? And in creation, what I say at the higher levels of creation, if you want to believe it's flat, then that's what you live on, a flat earth. If you want to believe it's round, you live on a round one. What does it matter? Everything is available. In the intricate and infinite physics of creation, there will be flat planes and there will be round planes. So we're into that point, and then it goes into space, and people believe there's space and people don't. You know, it's just like, what does it matter? There's much more important things. There's much more important things than that.
Yeah, thanks for that, brother. I mean, so there's no real right or wrong answer to the question, really. But I suppose where, you know, some people are coming from is a place of indoctrination. So they feel that if they've been indoctrinated into a belief system, they feel that they're hard done, because obviously this environment, which we call Earth, life, or whatever you want to call it, is it of our making, brother? I mean, you know, what we came into this beingness, this when we open our eyes, because there are beliefs out there. There are individuals, they feel that some believe that we have a soul contract, or some feel as though no, we've been traumatized to a point where, you know, we're just following individuals that are sort of per se pretending to hold the truth. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Let me jump in. When you're talking to I there, what you're telling me is what some people say. What does Barrett say? I'm not interested in what some people say and the projections and the conjectures that people throw around, because we can talk about them all day long. They're all stories and they're all narratives, and most of them are rebellious and most of them are nihilistic. When ones are indoctrinated into the globe Earth, which is what NASA's done with all of its stories and bits and pieces, and then ones can find a way into a flat Earth, then they'll stick with that because it's fingers up to the system. It's not fingers up to their brothers and sisters around the place. It's fingers up to the system. They want to fight the system because there's rebellion within them. And I get that totally, because I represented it too. It's not that they want to be right about something, it's they want the system to be wrong. And you know, gravy. But all of these belief systems are belief systems. What they say and think has no impact upon I. There's many that have ideas, but they've got them from somebody else. And all of those external ideas that they represent internally are by base definition idiotic. Gnosis is within the self, wisdom, internal wisdom. Gnosis, knowledge. That comes from within. It's innate. It's remembered. It's developed. Yes, it comes through experiences and those things, but they bring you back to a place where you simplify everything and it becomes innate. Information, however, coming in and then forming a belief system based on something you've never experienced is the opposite of gnosis, and that's idiosis. So the Gnostic belief is an internal wisdom, and an idiotic belief is an external story. Many are portraying external stories as their belief systems with no knowledge of it.
Okay.
Therefore, it's idiotic by definition. I'm not stating anybody personally is that, but the definition of the word is that. So when people talk to soul contracts, do you know it internally? Has it come from an internal source? Is it collaborated? Is it corroborated? Can you reference it? Do you understand it fully? Or do you understand the nature to it? And most don't. What they do is they have an idea, and then they talk to that idea as if it's got meaning. It's got more meaning when you rewrite your soul contract, when you are writing your own, when you are setting the rules of the game, when you are the game designer. Then you have gnosis, then you are a gnostic, then you have an internal wisdom and an authority, which is not based on what somebody else has said and an insurity and a doubt. It's based now on the truth, right? So this is the difference with a lot of these. I don't mean to stop you. What we would have done is gone into a lot of different stories. What I felt it would be good to do is to put a fundamental idea of where these stories are coming from and whether they're developed internally, whether they are walked, or whether it's just repetition of an external source, which is no different to what the darkness uses to propagandize and indoctrinate the populations.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, brother. I mean, from my perspective, absolutely, I'm on that page as well. But it's like, from my perspective, it's like authenticating what is truth and what is not. What is truth and what truth is not. So how do we authenticate what is real and what is not real? From my understanding, if we go against something of a particular design, whether you call it good or bad. Now, meeting the likes of yourself and Rick, what it's helped me to do is bring a balance into understanding the symbiotic relationship between the negative and the positive, and bringing things into some kind of alignment. So I don't know. I mean, that's the nature of what my take is. The temptation has always been there for me to jump onto the bandwagon and say good guys, bad guys. But where I'm in alignment now, I don't see good or bad as being. I see it as something which is wonderful to experience, because in order to understand the essence of something, you experience its opposite, and then you bring it into some kind of alignment. It is very enriching. So how does that stand with you?
I don't disagree, but it's not this duality. I do disagree with this concept of you need the darkness to appreciate the light. You need hate to appreciate love. I don't agree with that in the slightest. There is no need. But in the negative frequencies, let's say, in the disturbed, distorted frequencies of fear, and these negative ones, as we would call them, negative energies, negative or lower frequency distortions, there's just an opposite. It's the higher frequency. You don't need to experience the lower one to recognize the higher one in the slightest, because from the higher one, if you have wisdom, then you can understand the lower one just by seeing the opposite of the higher one. You do not need to experience them both to understand that one is less than required or chosen, less preferential than the other. One has virtue, one is non-virtuous, let's say. One is powerful and one is forceful, or enforceful. One's all about control, the other's all about release. One's about anarchy, one's about chaos, and even though I'm not worried about chaos, one's about causing chaos, the other one's about emanating peace. You know, to understand the two of them, you don't need to. So for instance, I can understand or see around I and energetically where there's a base disturbance, a frequency that's low, disturbing, and where it's coming out as something benevolent, or supposedly where the malevolent or manipulative intention is, where the deceiver lies within the one. You know, it's not an external thing they're doing. This is an internal mechanism that's trying to deceive another into believing a reality that this one can feel safe in, or comfortable in, or control, or dominate. All of these things are distortions. They are not human. They are a distorted effect of the environment that has been created or allowed to be, let's say, in this hell, in this old lower, in what was hell, this lower third dimensional frequency band, and the fourth dimensional frequency bands are where those subjugated and quarantined energies exist. This is where this human environment has been for, or Gaia has been for, I don't know how many years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But the frequency has been rising, and what's effectively happened is there was a fall of Gaia, a continuation, and now she's rising back. The fall should never have had souls upon it. When, from what I understand, from my truth, others can make up their own and design what their own is, and as long as they, got confirmations, whatever. I'm not saying this flippantly or because I feel it's something. This is my truth, right? This is what's corroborated and agreed upon in what we do, not just I, but we do. So we are under the understanding that Gaia fell, and in that fall, souls fell with her. Those souls did not choose to fall. So everything that's happened since that fall was not a soul choice. That means it was not designed by the soul to grow. It was utilized as a survival mechanism for the human environment to maintain for the period it has in this dark bandwidth. We are in purgatory now, relatively. We are very, very close to popping through into a frequency where none of those lower emotional frequencies exist. None of them exist. So it won't be a case of then children born at that level. It won't be a case of, oh, you've got to suffer this before you appreciate that. That which was suffered here and that which was endured here, and the torment and the turmoil and the lifetimes of suffering on the same energetic thread of draining the human lower energies, the loosh out of the human, they will never, ever have to experience that. So when one say that this must be experienced because of this, what they're doing is they're saying, in projecting into the future, that your children and the children's children and the children's children and the children's 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 children all must do the same, and they're predicting the same depth of suffering continuing as if that's a divine mechanism. It isn't. It's savage, it's barbaric, it's demonic, and it was carried out and perpetrated over such a long time by very, very malevolent, malignant, evil beings and entities that are all now subsequently gone. There's just some ripples left, and humanity has to get rid of this idea, this idiotic notion that this was necessary or chosen, and that it must be maintained into any future timelines so that we can get out of this level, rather than the belief systems maintaining this co-creational reality that is malevolent, malignant, and is finished as per Prime Creator's decree, which is why we are all here right now, to cease this. Sorry, brother, if that got a bit more fundamental.
No, apologize. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, brother. Reference to when you say the fall, because you said the fall.
I will not go into any further detail with reference to why, what, when, or how, because it all ceases to exist once we move forward. It does not need to be in the human consciousness or in the level of human conception as to what may or may not have happened. Divinely, that is being taken care of. What we must do is release the need to reconcile and just accept that this finishes. And when this finishes, we go into a place where none of this needs to be reconsidered. It's done. We go back to before it all started almost. It's almost like a wipe and clearance of the whole lot, because it's so malignant and so malevolent, and it was never, ever chosen by the soul. So it doesn't need to be. Now, what is maintained as we go forward and history gets rewritten properly with the truth, we cannot go to a place of higher frequency where there is creational levels there with a memory attached of a negative past timeline. So the negative past timelines and all of this suffering and all of this torment must be rewritten into a way that is more truthful for the soul, to show that it didn't have any impact as we would have thought it did as a human. So as we go forward, all of this will be calibrated, released, let go of, and these belief systems harmonized so that they do not cause a negative drag factor to a past events that was supposedly we chose, or supposedly humanity chose. And the evil will be seen for what the evil was, to whatever degree it needs to be seen, for the release of all of that timeline into a much more harmonic timeline of knowing rather than believing, let's say. And I don't know how much of that will be kept, whether or none of it, because as far as I'm concerned, anything that happened 5 minutes ago and backwards is of no use to me going forwards unless I need it. So I'll give that to the universe, and whatever I need to keep in my consciousness, I will. But it certainly won't be negatively based on aspects of the past and justifications for it. For none of it was required, none of it was necessary. I thank everybody, and I'm grateful for getting me to this point. But I do not see any of it as negative. I do not see any of it as necessary, and I certainly do not see it continuing forward past months. So this belief systems that this is all necessary, and it could expand into a long time. For that's limited, and creation is unlimited. So again,
excuse me. Yeah, no, thank you, brother. I mean, I can. I mean, from my take, even reference to when we first met, reference to, because I was talking to you, reference to a particular pain that I had,
yeah.
and I remember we were talking about certain instruments or modalities that we can use as a form of to alleviate whatever the blockage might be or what's causing it. But you said something so fundamentally powerful, and you said you're energizing that, Barrett. You are putting your energy onto that. For example, if you say I've got pain and I feel sick, or I need to do a certain something in order to heal, the fact that you're putting it out there, that means that you do have a form of you are victimizing yourself, and you're perpetrating, you're almost like indoctrinating into a system that's false. So you're energizing something that's not real. And brother, I'd like to thank you profusely, because seriously, I kind of removed that within seconds. Prior to us, we had a long, thank you for that, such powerful, energetic conversation, and we always continue to have. But yeah, I'm having like, hair raising right now. It was, brother, I feel so much better after that. I felt that I don't need to do anything, but I feel good.
It's the belief system that something external to you is required to assist you, and I get it. I do. But no, you are, let's say, to put it simply, you are God of your universe. And your universe, I don't know how many, was it 35 trillion atoms or molecules within the physical vessel. Every one of them is a toroidal spinning field, no different to Gaia, but just on a smaller basis, no different to the galaxy or universe or whatever it is. But either way, every single one of them represents an individual galaxy or universe within you, and you are its God. And you're telling it you need to do this because you've got pain or whatever. Now, I don't deny that, but you can also say, I love you, everything is good, we can clear this up with just intention, and allow it to be and release without that notion of I must do all of that. In empowering it and saying that this, I feel sick or I feel ill, is God telling the universe that that's what it is. If you look at it like that way, it's not a great look. If you have the voice of creator feeling sorry for itself, which is a lower level frequency because it feels some pain or it feels something uncomfortable, the voice of creator is then saying, I'm not happy with you, you're sick, I need another outside of me to do something to fix this. This isn't a good look necessarily, dependent on where you are consciously. So the power intention, the pure power, not false, not fake, not yeah, I can do all of that. It's easy enough. Look, watch, boom. No, it must be done from the heart, and it must be done from a level of purity, no manipulation, benevolence. You must be loving your universe. You must be showing pure love, truth to the universe. And of course, pain represents itself within the body, and I get that, but pain's not real. It's uncomfortable. But why do we call it pain? It's just another experience. And we run away from pain. You know, people want happiness. Well, the opposite of happy is sad. Why don't you just be content? And what happens, happens. You've got so much more control, less control, but so much more power and authority over the physical vessel. And guess what? All of the physical vessel does listen to God. It does. You are. This just represents it. You are, and that's the higher level, you know. But people don't understand, and they fear their own energetic power or what they truly are.
You know why, brother? Because I can speak from my perspective. Because we operate from lack. We feel that we need something. We need to be seen to be doing something. You know. And this is another reason why GPMS is such a powerful instrument, because yourself as well, and Rick, and a few other brothers. No, but we are the intrinsic value, you see. I mean, yes. You know, reference prior to that, and we don't want to go back into the storytelling, but, and they did a superb job, because reference to certifying, or institutionalizing, you know, isms, that is real. But you know, as well as I do, what is real. I mean, this is my practice. So when I'm connecting out there, or a place I've never been, when I'm locking eyes, I'm seeing another version of myself. And within my cells, how well united we are as one. So you're treating the outside, if you will, as an expression of what's happening within yourself. And for me, the fundamental, the most encompassing, which is a very, very powerful nucleus, is do no harm.
Simply by law, by natural law, do no harm. And it's innate.
It's not rocket science.
It's innate, though. It's, you know what do no harm means. Everybody knows what do no harm means until they come up with ideas that loophole it into something else and try to manipulate it. But everybody knows what do no harm means. It doesn't need to be written down. So we haven't written it down in GPMS.
I'm not sympathizing, but I can understand. And my tolerance has become zero now. And I don't want to lash out big time, but I can understand, because they've turned it into a marketplace. You know, where they feel that the value of something, for me, the value of something it's competition. You see, this is the thing. You go into that area of competition, and then and people are destructive in so many divisions and hierarchies and what have you. But once all that artificiality is removed, because this is what instrument helps bring into the union. And what you lay as an impression, it's one or two things. Is it lifting, or is it drawing down? Is it pulling you down, or is it an air of excitement? Because this is how I feel, brother. If I can be candid, reference to how I feel really honored to be in the company of someone as authentic as you, because after our conversation, it's hard not to. Your frequency is it correct to say that energy, when we talk about energy, vibration, frequency, and the word truth never stays the same. It's growing as well. Or there is a universal question to this: is something expanding, or is it we're just bringing downloading?
Barrett, brother, you're going all over the place. Keep within a certain realm. The mind, I can see it's popping tangentially over, and then over there, a lot of this isn't linked. Is the universe expanded? Of course it is. Is your consciousness expanded? Of course it is. But energy doesn't, when you've got infinite energy connecting everything, the substrate is ether, and you are that infinite energy. And experiencing different aspects of fractal definitions within a holographic temporal space, which we call existence. It's brilliant. It's absolutely incredible, and very, very real, and very, very unreal at the same time. And this paradox comes in all the time when you read. But you've got to look into that. You are the energy of creation, and you are in creation, but you are not of creation. Creation. You didn't start inside of here. You are the creator of this, and the anima, the animator. You are the animator. The fractal nature of this is that there is one, and one represents itself in infinite amounts of times and infinite amounts of space inside creation, temporal space within the energy of one, which is what you are. God, the sea, ocean, and you're a molecule, but all of these represent one. And with all the experiences, the consciousness and the experiential value of that one grows. But really, infinite energy, when no time and space is where everything is in, which means there's no start and finish. It always was and always will be. That energy always was and always will be. Inside infinite energy, where there's no time or space, there is infinite creation, which means creation always has and always will have been. These ideas of starts and times and finishes and bits and pieces, they're all limitations within what can be. So where we're looking at one universe or one aspect of creation or one galaxy, well, how many others are there? By definition, they must be infinite. And really, inside creation, everything that could have been created has been. We're just experiencing aspects of it as an anima, as a fractal, and we're going into parts of it and experiencing those parts. And once we get rid of or past this phase of this mission relatively, then you go into your multidimensional self and go and experience whatever else it is you wish to experience. We are just here at this point with humanity and with the souls that are here to assist creation, prime creator in this aspect, as a guide, as an assurance and as a guiding mechanism and boots on the ground for taking Gaia, the entity, the beautiful planet Gaia, and the surrounding galaxy back into a frequency which is not distorted and is no longer demonically controlled. And draining, entropic to the energy, pulling energy in rather than negentropic and amplifying it. Well, where we're going is the release of all that entropy into negentropy, into amplification. And of course, negentropy requires separation, division, control, enforcement, fear, anger, belief systems. I'm right, you're wrong. Subjective labels, subjective nature, subjective observations, all from the individual. And as you said earlier, people act from lack. So their subjective nature is to look at everything negatively from a place of lack. And therefore, what they create is a negative environment. You represent what's happening outside of you via your internal energetics. If you are in a place of lack, negativity, anger, whatever, suffering, self-pity, self-sympathy, then you have an expectation on the world to assist you, or entitlement, or you're creating a negativity that amplified by 8 billion is exactly what the darkness has used, or 6 billion, to control the energetic environment. The people have normalized it. The people are happy in it. The people have created a space in it where they don't care whether they're operating from negativity as long as they've got enough. And all of that is extrapolated externally. So we are in this time of a change of the human environment, but it starts from changing the belief systems within. We're not here to change those belief systems. You can hold on to them as long as you want. All that will happen at the end of it is you will suffer despair because you've got to get rid of them, and therefore you will enter chaos. And that will be a loss of all of your options and control mechanisms, and you will spiral into a dark pit of oblivion consciously until you learn to let go of it. You don't have to do that. You can change your belief systems earlier just by adopting a different frame of mind. but it goes against the social standard and the social indoctrination and the other things that you've been experiencing, which kept you safe. No, they kept you chained, shackled, in torment and turmoil. They didn't keep you safe. They kept you alive. They kept you producing. That's all they did. You were in survival mode. Let's get out of that. Time for leaving this survival mode. Get out, brothers and sisters. Stand up. Grow in your energy and your power. Stand aside us. There is no reason to be in survival mode, in fear. There is no reason. There's no such thing as fear. There's no such thing as these dark ones. They're gone. You are so much more powerful, so much more than you believe. Let go of the belief systems that you're less. Stand up. And we can change all of this. And we are, and we will. And that's divinely assured and guaranteed. But in that assurance and guarantee, if ones don't decide to change, then unfortunately you are judging yourself by your own actions, and you will suffer the previous version of what I just said about despair, chaos, and torment to a depth where you do. But this will be self-appointed. You bring it upon yourself, and yet you try and blame on so many other people, and I know because I did. But you're going to fall on your sword of truth sooner or later, and you're going to swallow your pride, and you're going to humble yourself to a point where you become what you truly are. And that is so much more powerful than you ever considered you were before. And that's what you're fearing. You're fearing you because you believe them. This changes shortly. Beautifully. And this is the message we bring. You know, this is the message. Let go of it. Come with us. Or continue. And then you'll come with us later.
I don't feel it's. Thank you for that beautiful message, brother. I don't think it's, and even from my take, I don't think it's hard to let go because it hasn't done much service. If you go to that place and you really witness the, I don't want to go into the details too much, but fundamentally, it has not really served.
When you're in a prison cell, saying yes and being polite to the prison guard gets you food, keeps you safe. Not asking him to give you the key, not asking him to let you out, not asking him why you're there, not moaning about, no, I just stay quiet in the corner and I'll be okay. Changing that belief system is very difficult when it's a survival mechanism. So ones must stop surviving and realize they are creation themselves. But in that is fear, and in that is false ego and false spirituality and all sorts of different things. But that's just another indoctrination level of the same ones you were in prior. The ego can work extremely beautifully if it's not focused on fear and the mind is not in control, but the heart is. Headstrong, all of these ideas, they all come from here. They don't need to, they can come from here. And this is when you are operating in a higher frequency. So we find many, when you say it shouldn't be difficult to let go of beliefs. No, it shouldn't be. But when you offer somebody freedom, you watch how quickly they run, away.
Is it fair to say that, if one is not comfortable in their being, so they're not present, and I've said this in other podcasts as well, that most people are not alive because they don't like who they are. They're not comfortable. If you're, and hand on heart, I can honestly say I have been for a while, but the way I play the music, the frequency is, it's a state of mind. It's the state of that you're happy because, and I've said this before, that you're not really doing much if you're not happy. Your happiness is core. You can almost eliminate words.
Happiness is a concept. It means different things to different people, like other things, like other words. It's a bandwidth of frequency. You can call it content, at peace. The need to be happy is something that I get it. People utilize it, but it's a descriptor. It's not an explanation. Happiness isn't an explanation, it's a description. And if I sit in a corner and my face shows no emotion and I don't do anything all day long, another may look at me and say he's not happy, because they're using a descriptor, but they don't understand content, and they don't understand frequency bandwidths and places of freedom of the mind and of the soul, of the spirit, of the body. So happiness for I is a difficult word because it offers a sadness as the opposite to it. It also offers different levels of happiness, and it gives you something to chase, as if you need to chase happiness. I remember my sister saying to me one day, I think it was about 19, she said, I hope you find happiness, Lee. And I never did. I found pseudo things. I found bits and pieces in times like this, but I never could find the word happy. Like I never really found the word love. I was looking for things that had definitions that I could see others doing, and I could never represent them my own self. It's like I was trying to fit them into things like, well, this must be what they're doing there, but I didn't realize what it was. I was looking for something specific, as if it was something specific, and it transpired that all of these things you already are them. You've already got all of them. You don't need them. You don't need to look for them. You are them. Just be them. But it's an externalization again, where we don't know. Nobody was taught these things, and the dark ones kept this information from us, or from the human collective, so that everybody remained like mushrooms grow in the dark, in the dark and covered in shite. And that's the way the mind works, and it's looking for things as if they mean something. But there's no explanation as to what they are. There's just a description of what they should be. And that's the socially accepted description. You've got to look like this, otherwise you're not that. But there's no understanding of what the energetic physical or the energetic frequency aligns to with those words. So I stay away from descriptors. They're not explanations. And on a higher level, they're unnecessary, because they're like pointless. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's unnecessary. But I know what you mean. There's levels of content. There's levels of peace, nirvana. There's levels of freedom within this, that, and the other. And that people put in happy as one of them. But that's just a descriptor of a small bandwidth, of a small part within it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, with reference to the misconceptions, I mean, I understand that, because I was tempted into it for a while myself. The most powerful being free will, and does it exist? Well, at the end of the day,
would you like my take on that?
I loved it. Yeah, absolutely, brother. Very, very empowering.
No, on the free will, would you like my take on free will?
Yes, please. Yeah. I've heard it before, I feel, but please fire away. Absolutely. You have no free will unless you wish to have it, and the only reason you use free will is to take a lesser choice than your highest. Right. The only will you've got, the only choice you've got, is your highest in the moment. Free will and the option to choose is always down from your highest, your truth. Many people do not stand in their truth because they fear the outcome, so they want to use free will to lessen it, and that's what's happening. So people want to keep this idea of free will to give them a choice away from their highest choice, which is the ultimate truth that they can hold within their physical vessel. Now, with regards to that, if I say you are God, you are a God, you are eternal, divine, and infinite. Now, you've got free will. You can choose not to be that and be lesser. And that's where free will comes in, you see. So free will is a lesser choice. The higher choice is the only choice. And giving yourself an option with free will is not really what you want to be doing. You want to be following the highest choice all the time. Otherwise, you're not holding your own honor, values, integrity, and virtue. These are high frequencies that are distorted by utilizing free will to lessen them. There you go. That's my sort of concept on free will. No, that's good, brother. That's good. Well, I mean, time flies when you're having fun, but I mean, do you want to go much more into depth with,
which one?
I mean, well, I just thought, it's a bit selfish in the sense I'd love to have you back again, and then we can have another
44 minutes in. Let's keep going, maybe for make this 90 minutes tops.
All right. Okay. I mean,
or is that too long for you, my friend? Would you like to keep it to an hour?
Well, let's see how, when we hit the hour mark, we'll see how we feel. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like when people ask questions, it's, and I'm not judging to say, yeah, I mean, they're speaking from, well, I kind of know, but, you know, almost like people want to invent an answer to the question, which really is not the highest answer. For me, I'd rather be honest, sincere, and say, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. It's almost
Many
like
questions don't need answers. Let me.
we need an answer to a question all the time.
You
Or
don't.
is it okay? Is it okay to be comfortable to say, I really don't know?
You have to, when you get to a certain level of consciousness, when you get to a certain level of frequency, you have to have learned by then to rely on faith and trust. See, doubt within each level of person, it's a harmonic. What it is a mechanic. There's events and events and events, and they all go the same, sort of like this. You go into a new level and you're full of doubt. It's new, it's uncomfortable. You're not sure. You've got a lot of questions, right? Like a first day of school, first day of work, new girlfriend, going on a date, doesn't matter. All of these things you self-doubt to certain degrees. You know, some act differently, but nevertheless, there's self-doubt. You're not sure. So there's all the questions. As those questions get answered, as your experience continues within the levels of doubt, you're looking to answer these questions. Then you can grow a little bit until you get comfortable and you don't really have any more questions to ask or answer because you've worked out where you are. And then you move into a level of trust, comfortable, right? Now you're comfortable in that environment. You're not asking questions anymore. Well, so in these levels, you stay in levels of doubt until the questions are answered. That can be done for a lot of experiential things. But once you start moving into higher levels of trust, you are not going to find the answers to your questions because they are not existential. They are now in a higher realm. Once you start to consider what does God look like walking on this planet and how am I representing that divinity, then you start going into areas of questioning that you can't get answers to. Now you can stay in doubt and say, well, I can't be that because the questions, like, they're just too big. I can't answer them. Or you release the need for the answer and you go into trust and say, I can not be that. Because if you believe yourself to be an energetic divine being, how can you be acting like a human from a lower emotional push? How can you not be in your highest truth? How can you not be emanating divinity? How can you not be objective about the things that you are talking about and saying they are non-acceptable? That is not virtuous. That is not how you, on a divine level, will act. Removing it from one's life, the financial systems, the government systems, the compliance to the natural demonics that are here, unnatural demonics that are here, that are impregnating with indoctrination. And you won't stand up because you're too fearful to be a god. You won't act in your divinity. You won't act in your highest morality. You won't point things out in case they cause an argument or in case they bring discomfort or whatever these things are. So these things are acting in a lesser form. And they come from doubt, and they come from a place where questions haven't been answered. Everybody wants to know, right? They want a savior to tell them, answer my question, and then I can do this. No, you are your savior. You always have been. You always will be. You never need a savior because you are one. And there is only one, just a fractal of it here, believing that you are an individual. Once you start to understand that everything is connected and you are always connected to the higher through your soul, through your light connection, you always are. Then you can start acting in that without knowing it. And then you get to find the answer. So when ones look for answers and they won't move until they get an answer, that's when they stagnate.
No, thank you.
When they move, it comes in, and then you get the confirmations. As you know, Barrett, you didn't know when I said to you about this pain, if you do it through intention, it would work, but you trusted. You had a go, and it got confirmed.
Also the fact that you know, you're not just talking your truth, you're walking it, brother, and that makes a huge difference as well. The thing is, like, I won't name drop, but there was a particular individual and still is in my life, and that individual had the big C, and she was so frightened that this individual, I kind of said she, but could have been he, but I will mention the person in a minute if it's important. But just to generalize it as well, I understand the fear. I mean, I really do. I mean, it's made to look so real from the perspective of separation, you know, because you haven't taken the ownership and lived in the world of blame, because some people blame others for their sicknesses or whatever it is they've been in that victimhood mentality. I said to that individual, no, don't stop pointing fingers and say, you did it to yourself fundamentally. And you do have a choice. Because she says, no, I don't have a choice. I said, you do. And I said, if you look in the mirror, what do you see? And she said, I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. And this individual was having a really, really hard day at the office, because fundamentally, she doesn't like looking older, because she said she's aged so, you know, prematurely as well. And I said, well, start loving yourself. Who's going to love? Because she's like looking for a savior. She's looking for someone to come and love. I said, you are the instrument at the end of the day. You've got to take stock. You've got to take ownership. And I remember the doctor was very upset when this individual said, I'm not doing the chemotherapy. And it's been 10 years, brother. The cancer was hit on the head and has never come back, because this individual had a few blood tests done and what have you. So fundamentally, and this instrument, what we call Global People's Monitoring, the instrument, fundamentally, it's a place where people come within themselves. It's a place of harmony, neutrality. It's a place where, you know, the value is always you and will always be. And when we leave these impressions, you know, we create a place where people feel natural. And that's where the word natural law comes into play. Because when you're going against natural law, you're causing fractals, or you're causing certain blockages.
Internal harm.
Yeah.
You're causing harm. Going against that which is pure, you're causing distortion, you're causing harm. And most people don't understand how powerful they are. And malevolent intention or manipulative intention, selfish intention, greedy intention, lack intention, fear-based intention is self-harm. It doesn't seem that way when you're doing it. It seems like you're controlling this, that, and the other, but it comes back and bites you. Ultimately, each must make amends, atone. Atone is a great word. I do like atone.
I do love that.
For their actions, for their own actions. You can't just say, I didn't know. Okay, kind of, what does it matter? No, you must make amends, especially when you have been informed. So when ones do these things from a lack fear-based mentality, because they do understand that there is something more, but they can't face it because it's too fearful for them, or they're holding too much lack, and then they will continue. But in doing so, they have been informed and they have used free will to not choose that. And therefore, the impact of that will come back and get them when they judge themselves. They will have to release it. And this is all self-inflicted. But this is the physics, brother. This is the physics. There's no fear of this. This is the universal physics. This is what happens. The soul doesn't feel any of this. The soul doesn't feel the emotional pain. And this is just experienced in the individual until they clear it out of their experience and see it for something else. Most of the pain that anybody's experienced emotionally, all of it actually at a certain level. I cannot remember pain, emotional pain. I have no memory of emotional pain. I have a memory of the words. I have a memory of the kind of feeling, but it's like there's no blame attached to it anymore. I'm grateful for it. The growth that came from it. It's not like there's no memory, there's no blame. I don't blame the others. I'm so grateful for them. Thank you. But so all of this is overridden by such a more benevolent, bigger picture. There's nothing left there of the old despair. I mean, this is 5 years ago. I nearly ended myself. That all gone. That degree and that depth of pit that I was in, and it was. Yeah, we can go into that one day maybe. When one said to me, "Do you love yourself, Lee?" And I turned around and said, "I don't even know myself, brother." I referenced not being able to look in a mirror. I referenced that very, very well. I didn't, the psychosomatic, the face, and what I was seeing in that mirror. And my God, I despised it. This now is so like what? I look at it like, okay, you didn't know. No, I might tell people, teach people, whatever the words are. Look in that mirror and look in your own eyes, and you tell yourself you love yourself. And if you are lying, you will know. And you keep doing that until it's not cringe, until you know you do. And that will show you inside of yourself, inside of this physical vessel. It will show you, but you've got to be honest. You try and do it without truth, and it won't work. But you must learn to accept yourself. And that means great gratitude, not just forgive, accept, and become graceful, have gratitude, see everything with a much bigger spin.
Do you feel that self-apologetic attitude is important? Do you feel that it's important to say to yourself, "I'm sorry that I've let myself down," to a point?
Up to a point. What Rick says about this is perfect. He says you never need to say sorry if you're in your heart. Now, the caveat to that is if you're in your heart.
Yeah, I get that, but what about the misinterpretation sometimes? Because sometimes
we can go into that.
Well, we won't.
So let me put the two together. If you're in your heart, you never need to say sorry. Well, that's because you never did anything wrong. And generally, it's the other one. Or never did anything to cause anything. You know, there was no effect to your cause. Your cause that you gave out was beautiful, but there was a reaction, and they then tell you did something.
Okay.
You never accept that. But if you did do something, for the other day, for instance, and I don't apologize for my actions because they come from the heart. But the other day I missed a meeting. I completely did forget. Now I'm sure it's divinely so. Now I could have written back and just said to them, this was the GPMS meeting with the Freedom Network in the UK. I missed the meeting. She asked me a week ago, but she booked it a week ahead, and I missed it. So it was her time I wasted. And I looked at, what do I do? And I could say, divinely, it was missed. We must arrange a new next one. But I dropped a little bit into the sort of looking at it from what I would like to receive rather than the higher level. Yeah. And I said to her, I feel I have let myself down a little. I forgot. I did not remember, and therefore did not sufficiently respect your time. My sincere apologies. I don't feel that that's saying sorry. I feel that that's respecting the other and giving a comment about whatever happened in a way that is an amendment, is an atonement, is an equalization. I accepted that I did not, in my mind, fully represent her time. The same as if somebody missed a meeting with it would be what I would like to receive from them. I wouldn't hold any negative against them for it, but it would still be I see, you see as well. Good. And it would be a leveling and an equalizer. So we can utilize apology when it fits, because we can redefine it. But prior to you knowing that you're in your heart, prior to you knowing that you are there, because of the way the deceit works within the physical vessel, the fear-based stories do not come from the heart. So the fear-based stories represent themselves into reality and try to manipulate and control reality. And when you realize that you have been using a manipulation, a fear-based story, the only way that you're going to equalize that is through self-humbling and acceptance and an apology or an atonement, a leveling, a making amends. You can't falsify that by sitting in this level of unconditional love. Sitting in, yep, did that, but kind of fuck them. I'm all right now. I've learned. You can't do that. You can't. You've got to make it right. But when you're in your heart, you never have to do that because you never made it wrong. But when you're using these fear-based narratives to drive you, these lesser narratives, these lack mentalities to drive you, then you are going to use people and attempt to manipulate them, use emotional abuse, blackmail in certain ways. To whatever degree it may be, you may get angry, you may get frustrated, you may cast blame, but these blames are lies. They're your emotional turmoil that the other has triggered, and you're blaming them for it as if they did it to you. You already had it within you. So they must be made amends for. You're projecting a negative at somebody who probably did nothing. But because you're emotionally stable, it's them. And boom, that negative is projected outwards. And then you expect them to apologize to you. You know, it's craziness.
It is.
There is levels and self-acceptance and self-truth and falling on your own sword so that you accept the truth, your own judgment, right? You judge yourself. And then you act in a way that you find is acceptable. You don't need to judge it. Then you don't need to apologize. But if you do it superficially, you will be found out by the universe.
Absolutely. No place to hide, really. I mean, can you overwhelm or overstimulate the situation? Because I remember the late, great Dolores Cannon, which I was a fan to a point. But because she was saying, you know, you don't give a child, but then who is a child? I mean, you know, you're downgrading people. I mean, your perception of, so you can't, because she kind of put out there, and I'm not the greatest adversary of this, but she said reference to you make it a little bit more comfortable and palatable, the information, because you can overwhelm No.
I agree to her in a different way. There's many of us with different roles, and albeit I've utilized that benevolence role where you try to sugarcoat everything, and I have not seen in my experience a fundamental change. I've seen ones grow, but superficially in general, but that in my role. So I don't do that. I look at the fundamental cause. I look at what's the cause of the disturbance. I don't try to sugarcoat the effects of them. So if one is self-sympathy, if one is sorrowful or whatever else, I will tell them it's themselves causing it to themselves. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I'll take them into why if they wish. So we get to the cause. So they understand the cause. And that may leave the one in a screaming mess that hates me in that moment.
But there is a masculine, feminine way of approaching this, I suppose, because
there's only one physics.
Okay.
Thank you. There is, but there's only one physics. So you can either look at it like this, right? There's the lower aspect, there's the lower frequencies, and there's the higher frequencies. Now you can maintain up here and talk to all of this, talking to that from all of this, which for some may work, but I go in there and talk about this to that. And therefore we're looking at the disturbance. Let's get to the disturbance. Show me who you are. So with the other, I allow them to show me who they are. And that may mean that they end up as a 6-year-old child who's screaming at me, wanting a lollipop. But they started off with a 45-year-old adult. They went through negotiation phases and failed because they're trying to manipulate a situation and lessen my truth. They're trying to negotiate a place of comfort. And then they'll go down to a 20-year-old, and then they'll go down to a teenager who starts to get a bit tough. Then they'll go down to slamming doors. You know, I just talked about this outside, 10, 12 years old. And then they'll get into the tantrums, dependent on levels of anger they go through. So they are children by then. And this is in a 40, but the higher aspect of them doesn't change. There's their higher. And I speak to that. As I've said before, this gibbering mess down here that's representing chaotic energies is not that. I want this. I want to represent their highest, not their lowest. I don't see this in front of me as them. I see this as an aspect of them playing out. It's an energetic. Let's get it harmonized. Let's get into it. There's nothing to fear. Let's realize it. Let's speak to it. And I'll take you there with my hand. I'll come with you. I don't fear the bottom of that pit. I don't fear shame. I don't wish to keep going there with ones. I'd rather go up. But if they need to go down, let's go down. And if you dislike my methods, or if you dislike what you see, you can blame me all you want. But guess what? I won't accept any of it.
Yeah.
So you're just going to eat that blame straight back at you. It's not going to go anywhere. And that's going to make you more mad. So when are you going to deal with your own situation and stop doing it to yourself? Let it go. Grow. Be the divine that you are. And all this requires is acceptance into courage, into trust that you might not know, but you don't need to know. Pride says it already does know. Pride says it knows better. Courage says, you know what? I'll trust you. Pride says, you know what? kind of, and deceives you as you drop. So I don't mind pride. I've played with that dark for so many years, brother. It's not. It's tedious, but we're so used to this on those low frequencies. And be honest with you, I am so grateful for those who we've gone on this journey with down, because like with all of the layers here going down, they represent all of the layers here going up. So it doesn't matter whether you discover it coming down through here or going up through there. Because of the physics, because of the fractal representation, they're both the same. They're just mirrored. So in the middle, and when you sit here, you can see that there. And you can see that there. If you sit in the middle, you don't have to be here. You certainly don't have to be there to be able to recognize all of them. And nothing is hidden. You cannot hide from one who is objective, from one who understands the nature of this. You can't hide.
Beautiful, brother. So energizing. This word guardianship, can we talk a little bit about this word guardianship? Because
should we go to GPMS for a minute, brother? Should we go into that? Because he brought it up a couple of times and I haven't really developed it.
All right.
I mean, I assume you mean guardianship as GPMS.
I do. And what if I may just throw my version, and it is the same version, I'm pretty sure of it. You see, it's about ownership. It's not about ownership anymore. It's about being open. It's about the willingness to share and to say that it doesn't belong to anyone. And it's a bit like we're treating everybody as of an equal value. Now, I can understand the misconception behind this a little bit. I do have a small tolerance for it, because leave the intrinsic value alone. There is in some people's mind, I'm not saying in ours, but there is a certain hierarchy of, that's where the ego kicks in terms of, I know so much more than you. Okay, I can, or I hold on to, let's say I've got loads of land and you don't have any land, or you're quite poor and I'm quite rich. So I've done something right in life and you haven't done much in life. So what they're doing, it in the field of some kind of competition.
No,
but it's very it's destructive.
It's self-deceit. Yeah. It's self-deceit, and it's superiority. It's superficial superiority over self-deceit, which obscures the internal lack of control and the mechanisms of internal lack of value placed into an external system, and then demeaning another through mockery and scorn, because one is deceiving oneself into believing they are something they are not. That just, sorry, brother, if that came out that way, but that's where these come from. That's self-deceit. This idea of being better than another is ridiculous when you look at the equal nature to which everything is. It's an ignorance, it's a denial, it's a self-deceit, it's a nihilism, and to be honest with you, it's disgusting.
Absolutely. That's why children are so badly demeaned but we won't go into all that. But please put it into a context that's understood by the guardian. It's the all-encompassing, isn't it, really?
It's slightly different. Guardian means for I anyway, a guardian is I represent and honor and defend, even though defend's the wrong word. Defend by being the principles of GPMS. I don't need to guard it. It's not about guarding it. It's about a guardian of what it is and what it means.
It's a tolerance as well, because
integrity and virtue, the
yeah.
honor, the equality, the virtuous value, the seeing everything as equal is part of the guardianship of GPMS. The owning the nature of what it is that you are is guardianship of GPMS. Now, I'm not going to say everybody sees it in the same way as I do, but a guardian looks after its best interest. And GPMS is truthful, transparent, open, equal, virtuous. It creates an environment for all, chosen by all, where freedom is respected of all. Each is respected at that level and will be, because the guardians will ensure that that stays the case. It's not about telling people, it's about guidance to ensure the essence, the pure esse of that document, that vehicle, the pure essence to which it is being developed from its foundation through is maintained. So this will be maintained in any discussions, as I'm sure many of them, if anybody's seen I in different discussions or been on the other side of I, that they will see that there is a certain level of maintenance of a higher truth, which makes many uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean to say it's not true. And so I will be that role, and so will others, and this is our guardianship, and that's why it's self-appointed. We don't appoint a guardian, you appoint yourself. Then it's up to you to play that role and be that you state you are. Now, it depends on what you believe that role is to be, and that's where guidance comes in. So guardianship's slightly different. I see it in a different way. I am that which I guard, or guardian too.
And there are certain phases in which we're going to enter this paradigm, if you like. I mean, it's a case of like the first phase being on that energetic level, because nobody has the right to say it's this or that. It's when we all come into that place of neutrality and calmness and not separation, oneness, and to bring that intrinsic value into the place where it belongs. I mean, a lot of people for a long time within the spiritual community, they often spoke about, reference to certain technologies, for example. I, for example, never shied away from using instruments like Facebook and social media, and despite with all the algorithms and certain watchwords and how we have to behave in a certain way, because everything has a certain side to it. My field is to bring it into order, into balance. Not to say this is, because some people say it's a double-edged sword if you use it in a certain way. But I only see it from one perspective, and that's being open and to be able to share and not say this is mine, it belongs to me. Some may find that a bit more challenging in the beginning, but I'm all for it, and the quicker the better. And
the quicker we change the morphogenetic field levels, the quicker everybody gets onto a level they don't even know how their fears have gone, but all of a sudden they aren't there anymore. The 100th monkey idea, the collective consciousness being swayed by those with energetic, and that negates these lower fear levels in ones, and they don't even know it's happened, and all of a sudden tomorrow they've got no fear of that. It doesn't bother them anymore. Technology, people are concerned about these words because of the way the dark ones have utilized them, the malevolent way in which they've been utilized and shown through tele-live vision. But if you look at the word technological, it's technical logic. It's logic of the technique. When one's use psychic abilities or when one's use astral traveling, they are using a technical logic. They have a technique in which they're used that they utilize logically, and that would be classed as technical logic or technology. These or technical knowledge, and then logical comes on the end, so technical knowledge. So you can utilize the word technical knowledge in lots of different ways. But what a lot of people are fearing is the use of AI and different things like this, because it's been shown to them on television and pumped into them from Medea, that deceitful little sorceress who's such a powerful tool for the dark ones. So Medea pumps this stuff out, and the Dark Ones utilize Medea to propagandize and indoctrinize the people, full of fear. World War III coming up shortly, right? Everybody's got to go conscript. We're going to fear, 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 fear. And all of this is through technical knowledge. The technical knowledge of the human species and the way to emotionally manipulate them is utilized through technology, i.e. through Medea, in a way to technologically affect the human vessel and the human experience. So it will produce fear-based energies that they can loosh out and create separations, divisions, fear, and control that through enforcement. But they pump it in through this other side using technical knowledge of the human aspect and the frequencies available for them to utilize to manipulate the emotional spectrum in which the human aspect is operating via the anime, which is the spirit source connection. So they utilize technical knowledge via your technical knowledge, which they haven't given to you, and you fear their technology, yet you don't even know what you are. There is nothing to fear because everything is created by us, for us, and in this utilitarian, materialistic idea, these things, we can't have that because it might cause this. That is such a negative, low consciousness construct. What value do you hold within to fear something that is so trivial? But these become important. They become awesome. They become all inspired, all control, because you're so focused on something that is so negative, and you carry no intrinsic value. You are worthless. You are hopeless. And that's why everything outside of you is so scary. Technology, AI, war, the Dark Ones, media, all of it becomes fearful. We've got to beg them to stop. We've got to go to the governments and say, please don't help us. We've got rights. All of this from a place of worthlessness. You don't value yourself, brothers and sisters. And we try to instill value, and you laugh and mock. Yet you watch, and you will know, and you will soon see. And all we implore you is to stand up and stop being so fearful of what they are going to do, and start to consider what we are going to do, because we've got this, this fear, this concept of this is going to go and this is going to go, and we're going to know, and we don't know what to do, and they're going to come and get us, and all of these things, man. Let it all go. That's all in here. None of it's in there. None of it. Apologize to yourself. Forgive yourself for being so silly. Open those wings, spread them across the universe. Come out of your little mouse hole. Nobody's going to give you a slice of cheese, and there is no trap outside. You are so much bigger than that timid little shrew that you consider yourself to be in here. That's the deceiver. That's the deceiver, not the technological, not these other ideas. We can do whatever we want with them. We define what they do for us. They do not have any control over us. But we need to agree a little bit more than we do at the moment for this to come to inception and for this to cease. Because right at this point, it is very, very, very obvious that it is showing you what it is with all of its teeth and all of its poison and all of its venom. And many, many of you are in fear of it, which is holding the rest back. Because it's an anchor, it's a dense weight, and it will be cut divinely. And off you go on your little turmoil and spin into despair until you realize what you are and come back up again. And whichever boat you want to sail on, we're quite happy, because we don't fear, and we know you are an eternal, infinite being. You are a brother. You are a divine. You are a sister. You are a goddess. You don't believe yourself to be. Okay, go and learn. When you know, we're going to be here with our arms wide open, holding that space for you, as is decreed, as we do. So, yeah, fear based on this ideas of materialism through Medea. Get over that in general is my recommendation or suggestion to everybody. Stop complying with that which is causing harm. As soon as you can, hold the highest morality and honor and integrity and virtue, truth, unlimited one that you physically or emotionally, energetically can. Hold that. Forget what happens to you from the outside. That's just fear of judgment. Don't you judge yourself. They don't judge you, they judge themselves. So stand in your highest, stand where you can stand, survive what you need to, do what you need to do to let go of this idea, but do not succumb to fearful thoughts, fear-based thoughts. Find them within you, laugh at them, turn them over, stand in your highest.
Thank you, brother.
If that helps, brother. I'm not sure that was a little ramble on based on technology, I think. But, okay.
Beautiful. I mean, reference to something like what we consume in terms of, let's say, what we drink, what we eat, to a point, can that cloud or affect?
Yes. Hugely.
So we need to pay attention to this, really. Even the word alcohol, certain sugars.
Alcohol. It lowers the frequency within the body. It lowers the consciousness, lowers the frequency. It takes a long time for the energetic physical vessel to remove it from the physical. And in that time, the energetic value is lowered and is not repairing other structures or systems or maintaining other systems that it could be doing. It's spending so much of its energy removing the alcohol because you felt that you needed to escape, or you felt you needed this, or you felt you needed that. So you poured a load of toxins into your body, and then your body's got to get rid of them. So your energetic value goes to that rather than maintaining other consciousness or upgrading the vessel, certainly. So the vessel is upgrading through a higher frequency all of the time. There's an integration period within the physical vessel, and your animator, your energy, is utilized in the upgrades. If that is being utilized to break down toxins because you put them in you because you're so stressed or full of anxiety because media and the fear-based things have told you to do so, you are causing harm. You are causing yourself harm. You are plateauing yourself, and you're giving yourself loads of reasons and justifications why, which I understand. I drank for many, many years. The same with eating all that crap. You eat it, but you don't need to eat food. But you don't know that. They haven't taught you that. They've taught you if you don't eat food, you'll starve. So they've created all these food products and made them more tasty that you can eat, but that has to be removed. Barely any of it's got nutritional value. And that takes energy to break down instead of your energy being utilized to maintain the vessel. Now it's removing this crap and all the toxins that are in it, and breaking all them down to release them from your system. It's no different to the fear-based thoughts that come within the body into the mind and all those fear stories. Well, you're interjecting all the toxins into your body, which are creating narratives inside the body. And all of these energies then are going to fear or to remove toxic parts of.
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer's just stopped. Give it a second.
No problem.
You still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm still here. Thank you. Yep. You're kind of frozen.
Yeah.
You're back.
What
thank you.
There? I don't.
Totally resonates.
That's got hot. Yeah. Jesus.
Oh, okay, brother. We'll talk about. I was going to bring up relationships, but we can savor that on another occasion because that's a mouth-watering discussion as well.
Divinely, I think that's a hint to probably bring this one to an end.
But brothers, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate your presence.
Pleasure, my friend. Pleasure. Hopefully there's some info in there that people may find useful, or not. But it's just been a pleasure having a chat with you, brother. I do speak to a collective consciousness, I know, in these. But I'm grateful and blessed to be able to speak with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. And we'll connect soon.
Love you, man. Love everybody. We got this, guys. Just get on board. Let go of that fear. With us. Love you, brother.
Activator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Barrett Tunian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I Am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, the truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and